And good morning, Washington, D.C., my beautiful, shining city on a hill. I'm Eden Gordon Hill, and welcome to the All-American Book Club. We have a very special guest for you. And if you're following me on Twitter, you already know who's going to be here this week. We have the honor to bring to the show, we have Bridgette Cameron Ridenour. Okay, you may recognize the maiden name Cameron. Yes, the back of her book, Overlooked, it describes her as this. She is the sister to Kirk Cameron and Candace Cameron. We all grew up watching Full House and Growing Pains. But Bridgette talks about in her brand new book, Overlooked, recounting heartwarming stories from her childhood and how later in life, one terrifying but life-changing moment brought her closer to God and to her purpose. So we get to talk with Bridgette, but I have to tell you something really quickly before I bring her over to the show. We had the honor of running into each other almost literally at National Religious Broadcasters Convention a couple weeks back, and it felt like we've known each other forever. She is just this amazing person, amazing godly person, and she is just a ray of sunshine to anybody who comes in contact with her. So I have the honor to bring to our Washington, D.C., a shining city on a hill, but we need some more sunshine for our members of Congress and the White House. So this morning, we get to talk to Bridgette about her book, Overlooked. Bridgette, welcome to the show.
Hey, this is so fun. And I'm glad you got the memo to wear pink because, I just had this crazy sense that you were going to wear pink today. So I was like, I think I'm going to put my pink top on. So anyway, it's so fun to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It was so neat to meet you at NRB. And I love how God brings people together. I mean, I literally, it just had come out of my hotel room and I saw you walking in front of me and I thought, is that who I think it is? I think it is. And, I noticed that you needed help with something. And then we just started talking and the rest is history. And it was so great to read your book, Overlooked. And for all of those who are tuning in, Overlooked is such a neat book. It's a fun read, but it's also grab a box of tissues because God has got you and he is going to impact you. Whether you fight him or not, he's going to change your life. So I want you, Bridgette, to share your journey that brought you to Overlooked and writing the book. Share with us your story, your journey.
Yeah, basically it's just a sweet little memoir of my life growing up with two famous siblings, which is crazy in itself. And what most people don't know is my mom was finally agreeable to take us to a Hollywood agent. For me, really, I was the little performer in the family, not Kirk and Candace or my sister Melissa. So she finally said, yes, okay, we'll try it out. And the day that we got to audition for Iris Burton, Kirk was 9, I was 8, Melissa was 6, Candace was 4, and the agent took all of my siblings except me. I didn't get picked that day, which was very shocking to my mom and heart-wrenching as well and devastating as a mom to have to tell me, well, she didn't choose you, but she chose your siblings. So just growing up, I kind of just always felt like, God, did you forget me? Did you forget about the talents and gifts that you gave me?
Yes.
I was the little performer in the family. I was the one in all the school plays and, singing in my Donnie Marie microphone, in the mirror and things like that. I'm an 80s kid. So really Overlooked just kind of started with, God just really opening the doors in his perfect timing for me as an adult now. I'm traveling across the United States, excuse me, speaking at women's conferences and conventions, sharing my story, and people just coming up afterwards going, do you have a book? And I thought, gosh, no, I don't have a book. So maybe it's time to write a book. And so God clearly said, yep, it's time for you. So that's where Overlooked came about. And your listeners should know, don't let the title fool you. So, it's just a great, sweet book. It's not a Cameron tell-all. I'm not going to share any deep, dark secrets of the Cameron family. but maybe that's another interview. No. But it's just this fun, sweet story of just what God did for us as a family and where we are now in sharing the gospel and God's goodness and grace and where he's got me now. So
Mhm. I
yeah,
I really loved how you brought out the fact that really your family was just more of a Christmas and Easter family. And I think a lot
definitely.
of people are in that same thought process. I mean, I look back over the past couple of years from COVID, the isolation piece and everything, and people started doing live streaming church from their homes. And I still think with this show being live on Sunday mornings at 10:30, I always joke with my audience, if you decided not to get out of bed, you're going to have a little sermonette here because, because
Amen.
we need Jesus no matter where we are on our journey. And I liked how you brought that out in your book and how God really we are not never overlooked and how he really rescued you in so many different forms and fashions and brought your family to the Lord through your brother, through his ex-girlfriend, through all of
Yeah.
these different aspects. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, like you said, we were a Christmas and Easter only family. My dad grew up atheist. His parents were atheist. My mom knew Christ as a little girl. But again,
Mhm.
Christmas and Easter only was when their family went to church. And so church was not something that my family was going to be a part of. My dad did not want it. But when Kirk was a teen, this major teen heartthrob,
Yeah.
he went to church with a girl that he was dating, and he heard the gospel for the first time. And the sermon, basically, in a nutshell, was, if you were to die today, are you going to heaven or hell? And even though Kirk was doing so many good things with, Make a Wish Foundation and some of these other organizations to help and meet, sick children or families or whatever, he knew that day, I'm not going to heaven. I don't have a personal relationship with Christ. I don't know who he is. But there was something that was kind of stirring in him, that he felt there's got to be more than all just this fame and money and all these things. There's got to be
Right.
more than that.
Right.
And so he just kind of started, you know, looking into it. And that day when he was driving home, he pulled off to the side of the road. Literally, he was on the freeway, pulled over, said the sinner's prayer in the most raw and real fashion that he could. He didn't know what he was praying, but he just talked to God,
Mhm.
like a friend, and accepted Christ into his heart. And it was just from there that he started changing. As a family, we noticed the changes in him. His attitude was better. He didn't pick on us girls, his sisters, as much. His character on Growing Pains changed. Things that he would do and not do, and we could really see a difference. And that just kind of snowballed into each one of us kind of learning about who Christ is and what is this
Yeah.
all about, and asking questions. And um, eventually each one of us did
Yeah.
accept Jesus. My dad did as well. My brother was able to baptize him at a men's getaway, so that's
Mhm.
amazing. And during all of that, our parents separated when Kirk and I were seniors in high school. They
Yeah.
separated, and by the grace of God, they stay together. They'll be celebrating 55 years this year.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how, even though we didn't know Jesus, he had such a hand and protection over us,
Yes.
and using us, for what we're all doing now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what you're doing now.
Okay.
I mean, I love how Kirk uh, basically brought you to that next service and how you came to know the Lord and how much your life has just been transformed from that time period on. But let's talk about the impact that you are making today.
Hmm.
There, oh, and for your dog too.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Now my
Oh,
dog's going to start barking through in this interview.
oh no,
Okay,
that's
let's see
fine.
how long we can get through without her barking. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, I think it's great. It
It's the
shows
real thing,
it's it's the real
It's
thing. It's
it's
the
the
real
real
thing.
deal.
But I would love share with our audience just some of the great things that you are doing. You're speaking at women's conferences. You are out there really wanting to make this impact. And in the short time of us knowing each other, you have impacted me in so many ways. And I'm just so grateful that I pick up the phone and my ray of sunshine, I can text you and you're right there. And you are such a joy. You bring such peace and you are just radiating the love of Christ.
Oh goodness, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm truly, truly blessed that, God has opened those doors just for so long, watching my siblings grow in their careers, and seeing those doors close for me. I've always wondered, God, did you forget about me? How come you're not using me in the way that I want to use my gifts and my talents that you gave me? And um, just being angry. I mean, I'll admit being angry at God, just thinking, is this it? Like I'm never going to do the things that I want to do. And, it wasn't until a terrible, terrible car accident that my family and I were in. By the grace of God, we walked away. But it was in that moment that he gave me my life verse, which is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you hope in a future. And in that moment of a car accident, just to give your listeners a little bit of an idea, the chapter is in the book, but um, we were hit by two semi trucks going 75 miles an hour. And one of the semi truck drivers, his cab exploded. And his cab exploded. It could have been my car with my husband and our three kids in it. And we walked away without a scratch. And in that moment, um, everything in our car was on fire. It was burning. And when we eventually got to the motel in Groom, Texas, I knew there was a Gideon Bible in the nightstand, and I burst through
Yes.
the doors. I opened it up, and that's when I read Jeremiah 29:11, because during the accident, God was giving me that visual in my head, and I literally couldn't let it go. I was kind of getting annoyed because like there was so much commotion going on. I'm trying to find my kids. We're trying to get things out of the car. There was just so many things going on, but yet this visual of Jeremiah 29:11 just kept coming into my head. And I
Mhm.
had to, in that moment, I didn't know what it was, but I had to find out. And when I read that verse, I just sobbed because I thought God just saved me from a car accident where we could have been killed. And then I heard him, um, I heard his voice speak to me, and he said, Bridgette, all of those years that you thought you were overlooked and forgotten about, I've never forgotten you. I've never overlooked you. I have big plans for you, but you need to trust me and
Yeah.
know that my timing is best, and I'm going to open those doors for you when it's the right time. And so in
Yeah.
that moment I felt such a peace, and you know knowing that these are the seasons right now that God wants me to be in. And maybe if he and that's being a mom, being a wife, raising my children, all of
Yeah.
those things. And maybe if he had given me all the desires of my heart when I was young, and all those jealous moments of seeing my siblings, if he had given me all of that, maybe for me, maybe I would have missed the most special moments and seasons that I had with my husband and my children and raising
Mm.
them. I might have missed that.
Yeah.
So he was saying, you've just got to trust me.
Right.
And so, yeah.
What do you say to the moms out there, to the single moms out there, to the parents out there that are just we live in such a culture that it wants to remove the Christian faith, it wants to censor us, it wants to tell us to put a colorful flag over a cross, it wants to just basically demoralize the things that we take pride in, and that's our faith and that's our families and that's this amazing country we live in.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say to those parents out there, to those single moms out there, to those moms who are just like, just another hour, just give me another second, what do you say to them?
Yeah, gosh, I've been there. I have been in those moments of frustration and tiredness and all of that. And all I can say is just trust in the Lord, be in the word every single day. First thing when your feet hit that floor, you might be feeling a little something that you're not going to have a good day. And I always say, not today, Satan. We don't
Yep.
have time for this. I don't have time for this, and I get into the word and I read the word and just know that what God says is truth. Um, your days aren't going to be joyful all the time. You do have those hard times and those frustrating times, and you want to give up. I just say, hold on, because
Yeah.
God has such a plan and a purpose, and He for you, for each one of us. And I always I know that God has a story for each and every one of us. He writes the best story. It's not going to be the same as like a neighbor or a friend or a sibling. It's not going to be the same. But I just say, give God the pen. Let Him write your story
Mhm.
and enjoy the seasons that you're in right now, because in a blink, for those moms that have the young kids that are just like in the thick of it,
Yeah.
these are the most special and precious seasons you will have with your kids, because in a blink, they are going to be adults and they are going to be out of the house. They're going to be doing their own thing. I mean, gosh, my kids now are these young adults and moving on and doing their thing. And I just wish, gosh, can't we just go back to when they were little and I could just hold them and
Yeah.
snuggle them and just do all these things and just enjoy the moment now as but much as you can, and as but never give up and think that God has forgotten you or left
Yeah.
you, because He's always there. He's always there.
I love how you said, give God the pen.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much power in that. And if we just choose to do that, it's amazing to see what he will do. At the end of the day, I remember my mom has always said to me, and I always think about this when, we are going to have bad days. We are going to have things. Doesn't mean God, it still isn't there. But one thing that I always remember, and I always say to myself, is God always wins.
Always wins.
At the end
Yeah.
of the day, he always is there and he
Yeah.
always wins. Whether we want to accept it or not is the rub.
Right,
But
right, right. He's always there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So as I can't believe the segment is just about at the end, and I want to
Oh,
continue on with you. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm going to bring you back. We're going to do a part 2. And that's what I end up doing here at the All American Book Club, bringing back my amazing guests for part 2 segments. But I want to highlight a couple things overlooked by Bridgette Cameron Ridenour. It's been endorsed by all of your siblings, but the one I noticed on the back of the book goes by her married name, Melissa Fleming. And
mm-hmm.
I wanted to read this one. This is one of the sisters that didn't do Hollywood. And um, I wanted to read this one. Bridgette is the friend everyone wants in their corner, the dance partner you would want through life. I thank God he made her my sister. I love that quote. Absolutely. So, to your sister, Melissa, well, obviously to all of your siblings, but that one really stood out to me. I am really just blown away by what you have done, the impact that you are making for
Mm-hmm.
all of us women out there, and leading us and being that faithful servant to what God has called you to do. So my final question to you is, where can we follow you? Where can we maybe come hear you speak? How can we invite you to come speak to our women's groups, our churches, whatever?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm all over social media. So if you just Facebook, Instagram, Bridgette Cameron, it most likely will pop up. Right now is a little bit harder to spell, but Bridgette Cameron Ridenour, you can find me on social media. I'm traveling around the United States, speaking, like I said. And so if your church or community, or maybe there's a big women's conference in your area, you can always just go and contact me through social media, or even my website, bridgettecameronridenour.com. There's an area in there where you can contact me for that. And yeah, I'm just so thrilled and to see what God's doing, and excited to see where he's gonna his plan and purpose for me. I'm so humbled and blessed, really.
I
Yeah. Plus,
know.
I got to meet you
Oh,
and I mean, you
NRB.
were fantastic. NRB was so great, and so
It
just
was. It
yeah,
was.
yeah, the
Yeah.
connections and stuff was amazing.
Well, just bringing people together, that
Yeah,
connectivity. I think people are still yearning for that. They're still searching. They're thirsty for connecting with people, and I think that's still a missing segment in our in our culture right now, where
hmm
we as Christians are rising up, where we need to be more in the public square, not afraid to speak and not afraid to bring people together and not
yeah,
afraid to be able to do that. And your book Overlooked and so many amazing people of faith at NRB that we had the privilege to just elbow and come in contact with are doing that. So,
yeah.
Bridgette, I am so grateful to call you friend. I am so grateful to have you here at the All
Oh,
American Book Club, and we will bring you back for another segment.
I would love that. I would love that. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for having
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. Many blessings to you and your family.
Thank you. You